Hey, how's it going today, man? I'm Shelton from MIB Podcast. Today I got my co-host with me. He has some other important information to go. But today we got Miss Desiree Monday.
Hey, what's up? Desiree Monday. I'm here from Freedom Bridge Financial. I'm happy to be here with you.
Man, long time in the making.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Man, I appreciate it. She's going to give us the ins and outs of her company and the things we need to know about Freedom Bridge Financial.
Absolutely. So again, thanks for having me on. So Freedom Bridge Financial, it's a lot. Let me just say that, it's a lot. I'll start with this. Freedom Bridge Financial is my baby. It was birthed out of, to be honest, the recession, the Great Recession. I was with one of the largest financial institutions in America, and I saw how people were losing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they could not speak to people. They called into our company and they could not get help. And that was painful. And I worked for this institute, and I just didn't understand how they had money invested with us, but they could not call in to get help to understand what was going on with their life savings. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I knew I wanted to do something different. Mm-hmm. So I stayed with the company for a few years while I was thinking of a master plan. For the lack of a better word, I was thinking of a master plan. So in that time, I learned a lot about the financial industry, and in 2014 decided that it was time for me to venture out and do my own thing. Okay. So Freedom Bridge Financial was birthed. My first thing was real estate. I got my license to sell real estate. Shortly after, I got licensed to sell life insurance, and then started into my tax preparation business. So Freedom Bridge Financial, I do individual tax preparation, life insurance, and I help people buy homes.
They say, so are you a one-man band?
I'm not a one-man band. I do have a team. So I have partners that help me out in my business.
Okay.
Yes. So you can't do it all by yourself.
Okay. So, what was the first steps when you actually, how did you come up with the name Freedom Bridge?
You know what? A lot goes into a name. So a lot of people, when they venture into entrepreneurship, they go with their own name. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do that because I had a larger vision for Freedom Bridge. Mm-hmm. And in the future, if you want to sell your business, I can't really sell Desiree Monday. The next person who buys it is not going to be Desiree Monday. So I went into something that would one, be profitable, that I could sell in the future. But what I'm doing is bridging the gap between where people are and financial freedom. And that's how I came up with the name Freedom Bridge Financial.
Okay. So what does your day-to-day operation look like? Is it when you spend more time selling, getting the business up, looking at finances? What is your day-to-day operations like? Walk me through the average day of Desiree and Freedom Bridge office.
Day-to-day operations is chaos. So it's still very much in infancy stage. So right now, a lot of my business is marketing and advertising, and that's a challenge in entrepreneurship. Is you want to spend most of your time in your business, doing your business. You want to spend more of your time doing your business than actually working on your business. But right now, I'm still working on my business. Right, I'm still getting my business out there. But don't get it twisted. No, I've been working my business.
I understand. I'm not really tripping off that. That's part I'm not tripping off of. What I'm saying is when you hypothetically, you about to sell me some insurance.
Yes.
I say, hey, I'm looking for some insurance. How would you court me?
So let me first backtrack.
Okay.
No one ever calls and says, hey, I want to buy life insurance. Okay, so let's go here. I'm glad you actually brought that up. Life insurance is never bought. Life insurance is sold. You actually have to sell people on life insurance. For the life of me, I don't understand why, but people do not understand the value of life insurance. And let me backtrack that. I do know why. What most people say is, it does not benefit me. They can't see it, they can't touch it, they can't feel it, and in their mind, when they're dead and gone, it doesn't benefit them. they're not thinking about the people they're leaving behind, especially if they have children, a wife, or someone that's counting on their income to sustain. They don't think about that. They're thinking of, when I'm dead and gone, that life insurance policy does not benefit me. So tell me, why do I need it? Let me tell you why you need it.
Yes.
Because if you're a parent, especially if you have a minor, those children that you were raising counted on your income to eat, to keep a roof over their head, to go to college. So when that income is gone, whether it's $25,000, $40,000, $100,000, how are they eating? How are they keeping a roof over their head? Even if it's just for that first year, how are they still doing it?
Nobody knows these answers.
Exactly. Silence, crickets, right?
So how much time do you spend just chasing people and end up at a dead hole where they're not even interested?
Man.
Because you just explaining it makes me even come this idea like you got to spend a lot of time chasing a lot of dead holes.
It is. It's a lot of time, really, and it's sad to say, but it's a lot of time convincing people you need this. Your house is on fire. You have people counting on you. And you're not seeing it just because it's not right there impacting you right this moment. So it's the majority of my time. If I had to break it down into a percentage, it would literally be 80 to 85% of life insurance is convincing people that they need it. The other 15 to 20% is just going out there finding the best policy for them. That's really it. And then I'll tell you the best policy. Let me just solve that for you right now. The best policy for you is the policy that's enforced when you need it. Point blank, period. The one that you have is the best policy for you.
So is it, I know just for me just doing my own thing with business, I know you got to be 24 hours, like wake up, go to sleep. Even during mommy time, every situation may present itself where you got to talk about. Where is times you know you're not going to talk about your business? Like, because I know just getting, if it's an infancy stage, you may be at church and hey, sister,
right? Okay, let's be real. Let's talk about it. So there's never a time that I'm not talking about my business, especially when it comes to homeownership and life insurance. Now, tax prep, I can kind of put that on the back burner. That's something that's not as urgent. But homeownership and ownership, period. Like, well, ownership, you want to own stuff. So home ownership and life insurance, you can almost catch me at any time and I will answer that phone and I'll answer that question to talk about it, especially life insurance because it is that urgent. Life insurance is one of those things you want to buy while you're young and you want to buy while you're healthy. I have people who want to contact me to purchase when they're older or when they're sicker. It's not too late, but it is more expensive. So if someone's contacting me and say, hey, I'm just curious, I am going to answer your question and I'm going to look and I'm going to try to answer, I'm going to try to find whatever solution I can because I want to help you. I want to get it while it's on the top of your mind, if I can, if that makes any sense. But there's probably not a time where I won't answer a question about life insurance.
Oh, okay.
I'm passionate about that. You know what? In our community, so I grew up in a time, and there's a lot of people probably that listen to your podcast that are a lot younger than me. I grew up in a time where my grandma had the life insurance man that came by and collected that check every week, every month, whatever the case may be.
Those guys are like dinosaurs
exactly. Now. So I knew about life insurance from a young age. Now, in this day and age, of course, you have auto draft and all that kind of stuff, so you really don't see the life insurance man anymore. But I grew up in a time knowing about life insurance. So I've always known about life insurance. Nowadays, it's because you don't have that touch with it, it's kind of one of those things that's not talked about.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Well, and let's talk about it. Finances are not really talked about. You don't ask people about finances, right? That's taboo.
Hey, I see that it says people would rather show you their message and the pictures in their phone before they
come on, but why? and the sad thing is, it's not even just a stranger. Some people don't talk about finances to their children. How they gonna learn?
Man, it's a tough, especially in our community. Finances. I know someone who gets mad when I talk to them about, hey, you're getting up there in age. We need to talk about life insurance. And I was like, hey, can I put life insurance in you? And they'll be like, you'll probably die before I do. You're right. But it's like you would want to. They say, help me to help make sure you get buried. And it's like, I notice a lot of older people don't like to talk about it. And it's like, I'm gonna have to pay for it. You don't want to leave us with debt and trying to bury you. But that brings me to a better question.
Okay.
Cremated or burying people? Which one would you do?
I'm team cremation. So, and I'll tell you, and I'm gonna go to something that you just said after I answer this question for you. I'm team cremation, and when I was talking to a family member about it, his question was, baby, which one's better for me? I said, well, let me ask you this. You have $10,000. Would you put it in the ground, or would you rather your family spend it? And he was like, spend it. I said, he used a different word. He said, spend that shit, baby. I said, okay. And so would you rather spend that money or put it in the ground? He said, spend it. I said, well, get cremated. Listen, if y'all in Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth area, it's a sign on in this funeral home in Fort Worth, and it's a cremation less than $1,000. So why would you spend $10,000 on a funeral? How many people still going to the gravesite? How many people are going out there and visiting their loved ones? And even if you are, I'm not knocking you, but we know that that's not them there. You know what I mean? Their presence is still here, but why are we putting that money in the ground when we can be investing that money into generational wealth for those that are still here and leaving a legacy? Come on. How many times do we go and take that insurance policy, whether it's only a $10,000 policy or more, and we put it in the ground and we spend our last, and then grandma's losing her house next month or next year, when we could have paid the taxes on grandma's house, kept that house in the family, and now we have a home that we can pass down from generation to generation. So now when the next generation comes, they always have a place to go. Or we can rent that out, and now there's always rental income coming into our family. Come on. So why are we not doing that? But what I wanted to go back to is a little thing that people don't know. Life insurance is just not, it's not always for just when you die. Life insurance policies can help you when you're living. There's policies that help you if you get chronically ill, so you have a condition that won't go away. I recently lost a family member. He had a chronic illness, COPD. That's chronic. It's not going away. It's degenerative. If he had had this certain type of life insurance policy, he could have drew money off of his death benefit to help him live off of in his last days. Honestly, it could cover the cost of your rent, your mortgage, your utility bills, or just your daily living expenses. People don't know that. How many people know how much medicine costs? And when you're older and you're sick and you're not working, that can be a burden on you and your family. And some people go without paying for medicine because they can't afford it. But if you had got this life insurance policy and you can draw off of that death benefit, now while you're living, you can get the medical attention that you need. And guess what? The only thing that's going to happen is when you die, it reduces your death benefit. What that means is that you have a $500,000 policy. You draw off of it now. When you die, instead of paying out $500,000, it's going to pay out $450,000 or $400,000, whatever it is. That's what that means, but people don't know that. So again, when I say people think that it does not benefit them because they can't see it, touch it, feel it, it does. You can draw off of certain life insurance policies while you're living. If you have a critical illness or a terminal illness, you can draw off of that while you're living.
Okay, so next question. What's the difference between whole life insurance and term life? That's been the big debate.
Okay.
And who would fit which one?
So, I love this question because I get it a lot and people want to know which one's better for me, whole life or term life. So, the best way to explain it, whole life, you pay on that policy for your whole life. If you get it when you're 25, you're going to pay on that policy until you die or until you're 121 years old. Okay? Whole life is typically more expensive. It has a savings or an investment aspect to it, to where you build up what they call cash value. You can withdraw money from it. You can get loans off of it. And what that does is basically it becomes an investment tool for you, a way for you to build wealth. Okay? Now, term life is what we call pure life insurance. Think of it as like car insurance. Okay, you have it as long as you pay for it. So if you go and take out a 10-year term life insurance policy when you're 20, your life is covered from the time that you take that policy out for 10 years. At the end of that 10 years, your life is no longer covered. The money that you paid out into that policy went to cover your life for that time period. You don't get to draw any money off of it. There's no investment value, nothing. Okay? A lot of people are like, well, what's the point in that? Well, It's usually cheaper. More, I should say, I don't like to use the word cheaper. It's usually more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's usually for people who, if you're 20, you're typically not going to take out a 10-year policy because the chances of you dying between the ages of 20 and 30 are very slim. If you're 20, you may take out a 30-year policy. The chances of you dying between 20 and 50 is still very slim, but at least you have some form of coverage. Usually when you're 20, you don't have a lot of income coming in, so you can afford a $20 or $30 a month policy, okay? But what you can do, instead of having a whole life policy and allowing them to invest your money for you, you pay, I'm just gonna say $25 a month for this term policy, and you invest your own money into an investment fund, right? Maybe a mutual fund. At the end of that 30-year policy, do you still need life insurance?
No.
Because if you've invested into the stock market for 30 years...
I mean, you should, dividends alone, you should be, and if you reinvest your capital gains...
Come on, compound interest?
I mean, that's the greatest thing in the universe.
Come on.
It's the greatest thing in the universe.
With me, I'm a big fan of term life. What people don't know about whole life policies is that when you buy a whole life policy, your insurance company is buying term life policies in your whole life, okay? So I know it gets confusing. They're telling you, okay, you have a whole life policy, this is what you're paying. In that whole life policy, they are buying term life policies with your money.
Mm-hmm.
And they're investing the difference. They will pay you a certain interest rate for your savings account, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They earn interest on the other amount.
Basically what the banks do. You put your money in there, they take it and give it someone who takes a loan out, like a construction loan. Then they turn around, they make the money back when the construction pays them back, and your money's just in your account when you go to draw it away.
And who you think making the most interest?
Oh, the bank.
Okay. So why not do it yourself?
So I got a question. So if it's up after 10 years, is it you get your money back, or it's just going to sit there until you die? What? So, because am I predicting when I'm going to die, basically?
You're not predicting when you're going to die. You're saying cover me for this time period. So just like when you get car insurance, if you go get insurance on your car and you keep this car for 10 years and you never get into a car accident, do you get your money back for the time you paid car insurance?
So that's what term life is?
It's essentially the same thing. It's you have it for that term, just for that period of time. So for instance, I have a term policy on my life. I have a 30-year term policy. I'm 36. So when I turn 66, if I live to see 66 and I do not die, that term will end. My life was covered for 30 years. Okay?
We don't get nothing out of it?
You get nothing out of it. However, for $250,000, I only paid like $60 for it, right? For a whole life policy, I would pay over $200. What I can do is invest $140 myself into a mutual fund for 30 years. Okay? At the end of 30 years, do I need life insurance?
Hell no.
So why do I care if I have term my whole life?
So you're just like, hey, in 60 years, I'm going to look out, well,
in 30
years, I'm going to look out for myself and pay this $20. And the money I was going to pay on whole life insurance, I put it into the stock market, then these CD, what is it?
Mutual funds, whatever.
Oh, okay. So that's just, looking out in case something, you walk outside and get hit by a car.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm covered in case.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm covered in case something happens over the next 30 years.
Oh.
How many people in their 90s are still working and can afford to pay $150, $200, $300 in whole life policies?
Social Security is going down, so hell no.
So what do you think is going to happen to their whole life policy? It's going to lapse.
So what's better for them if they're will insurance insure people who are older? Like, how does that work for older people, like 60, kind of sick? Like, someone got their mama, daddy taking care of him, he's staying with you and your husband, and you want to get them insured because, you got to pay some of them bills when they die, or, you kind of want to invest in your grandkids or something like that.
Right.
How would you get them to say, let's hypothetically, they got diabetes and high blood pressure and all that good stuff. How do you construct an insurance policy or finding them an insurance policy for them?
Yeah, so it's never too late, I'll say that. unless you 1 foot in the grave, okay, it's all, let me correct myself, it's almost never too late, okay?
Yeah.
So there are policies out there that will cover people who are ill, who are older. There are guaranteed life insurance, guaranteed issue policies that will cover them. They usually are more expensive and less face value, meaning that they can probably only get covered for between $10,000 and $25,000. So it is still some money, but it's not going to be your $50,000, $100,000+ that you can get covered for when you're younger and healthy.
Okay, so let's say, Mama, you're gonna get 10,000 to 15,000.
Right.
We're gonna get you cremated.
There you go. And what's wrong with that, though?
I mean,
what's wrong with it?
It's nothing really wrong with it because it's like I can't do nothing with your bones in the ground anyway.
Exactly. So let's say that. So take that scenario, Mama. I'm getting you covered. Even if you have to use that insurance policy to get her cremated, you can still change the trajectory of your family by maybe starting a business, by even investing into the market and changing your family's financial outlook with that insurance policy. That's what insurance can do for families. It doesn't necessarily have to just go for the burial. There's so many options out there for final resting places that we don't always just have to go with tradition. I really encourage people to look and see what options are and really check your own beliefs and values to see, am I doing this just out of tradition or is this really what I believe in? You know what I mean?
Say, do I really need a hearse with a fancy gold-plated casket with 6 people? Then now I got to get them fitted for tuxedos and we going broke. Or little John, we got to go start a GoFundMe.
Ooh.
Like, I be at peeve. Like, that's why I be wondering. That be why I wonder. Like, let's say little John got shot. Or Tarika got, or I'm not trying to say no ghetto names, don't get me wrong. But, Sarah gets killed or something, Sarah's son dies. She dies of COVID-19.
Right.
And we go start a GoFundMe, and we just say hypothetically she's a single mother with 2 kids, the world gonna feel sorry for her.
Mm-hmm.
She raised over $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we need to spend so much money on a casket? If she didn't have the money to have her funeral, most likely her kids are gonna be left with nothing. And they're not really giving out Social Security to kids like that because now they go off a point system.
Come on.
And now that we're going through pandemic, I'm assuming that point system has went up. Like I had to check mine when I started doing my entrepreneur thing. And my thing, like I barely hit the mark of the point system.
Yeah.
But my kids still won't get that much if I would die. So please explain to these people why they need to start looking into cremation instead of regular burial.
Man, so we definitely need to start looking into alternative. I'm not gonna push anybody in any way, any direction, but definitely encouraging people to look into alternative methods. Don't just go with the burial because that's what you feel like you have to do. If you can't afford it, if you feel like you gotta go GoFundMe, and let me tell you, like you just said, we raised $15,000. Don't think GoFundMe is giving you $15,000.
Yeah, they get taxes.
GoFundMe is keeping a percentage of that.
And if you get this onto the bank, anything over $10,000, the government has to tax it.
Hello. and can you afford that? Because they're not taking the taxes out up front. So when you go and file your taxes next year, and you thought you was going to get that $7,500 back, but then they come and say, "Hey, you owe us $2,500. Can you afford that?"
They say your mama died, but look, the government always gonna have their hand out.
Uncle Sam don't care. I want mine. And what people don't know is that even after your loved one dies, there's something called probate. That their assets and liabilities go into probate. They have obligations after death. It's where all of their assets and liabilities have to get settled in probate. Ooh, let's get a will. Can we talk about it? People, let's get our affairs in order while we're alive, okay? So if you own anything, while you're in sound mind and health, go and draw up a will and designate beneficiaries so that people know what you want to go where. It is nothing like having to grieve the loss of a loved one and then have people coming, because nothing like death brings out the greed in people. It's nothing like...
They be fighting over a state. You be seeing the musicians, how their family got to go to war, and they don't realize after litigation, they ain't got no money to really split up.
You talking about people who got something. I'm talking about us. Normal people. You would not believe how everyday people, they will fight over a t-shirt. They will fight over a lawnmower.
Grandma told me she gonna give me that TV. Grandma gave me that Cadillac.
Grandma's TV in the corner that don't even work. They will give the caregiver hell over that TV. Now this caregiver took care of grandma for the last 3 years.
I didn't see grandma.
You ain't never even came to see grandma. And now you over here in grandma's house trying to get her TV, her jewelry, and all this stuff. So get a will, man. It's really, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can draw it up. You can call a notary. And hello, Freedom Bridge Financial does do notary services.
Say it again, sis. As they say it again, sis.
We do notary services.
Period.
Okay. So draw up a will. We can get you 2 witnesses and just direct, put it where you want your stuff to go. Put it in paper. File it. Go to Walmart or Target, because I don't care which one you go to. They not paying me. Go to one of them. Get you a safe that's secure, fireproof, waterproof, whatever proof. Put your will in that safe so that when you go, someone knows what you want. Someone knows where your stuff should go. When you're gone, your family just needs to be able to grieve. They should not be fighting over what you have. Okay? So designate beneficiaries. Once we write your insurance policy right then and there, I'm asking you, where do you want this money to go when you're gone? I'm not letting you not designate a beneficiary, because if you just took out, I don't care if it's a $5, $10, $15, $20,000 policy or $250,000 policy, if you don't designate a beneficiary, that money goes to probate, which the state of Texas does not mind taking. Okay? Mm-hmm. So designate where that money goes so that it doesn't have to go to probate. Your loved ones can get that money and they can start living. They can continue living on, especially if you have children, husbands, wife, or whoever who's counting on your money.
Okay. Man, I feel like you hit every point. You hit every point. With your business, we're gonna get a little bit. With your business, what was the hardest thing when starting your business?
So in sales, even though I hate to say that I do sales, because I don't feel like it. I feel like I can't sell a thing, right? I feel like I find solutions to problems. But the hardest thing is helping people realize that there is a problem that they need solved. So it's prospecting, and it's finding the clientele that want to listen. My passion is for my people. Yes, it's for us Black people. I want to see us build wealth in our community. I'm not afraid to admit that, but we are the hardest people to make realize that they need home ownership and they need life insurance. Like I just discussed the investment opportunities with life insurance. Yes. We're the hardest people to convince that that's an avenue for them.
Oh, okay.
Like if I'm telling you, hey, if you can get this whole life policy now in your 20s, and then when you're 40 and your kid is going to college and you can pull a loan off of that instead of trying to take off a student loan or something and mess up your credit, they don't want to hear that. But other communities do.
I'm glad you said that. So, Gerber always had that $1 plan a month for this.
Yes.
They say, so young kid, you just have a newborn. What would you tell a young couple who got a newborn? Should they do the Gerber route or what should they do?
Yes. I literally just told a friend to do that. My children are both covered by those.
And so when they get to 18 or 21, can they can use that to go towards college, or how does that work in short term?
The Gerber plan, once they become adults, they can convert that over to a whole life policy. Yes. And it will then start to accumulate cash value.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Man, when I tell you, if you can afford to get your children covered when they're young, do it. I'm not afraid to admit I have made the mistake in the past and passed up opportunities that could have benefited my children in the future, but you learn from your mistakes and you jump on it when you can. So I jumped on the next opportunity because it sets your kids up for the future. And quite frankly, they're quite inexpensive when they're younger to get covered. Oh. And I'm talking about let's be real, okay? And I'm finna talk to my people, especially my single moms. I was a single mom. How we get those big refunds? Okay, sis or bro. We got single dads out there. Take one of those checks. Take just some, not even the whole check. Go buy your kid an index universal life insurance policy. Pay cash for that policy, and then let someone show you an illustration on what your child will be earning, and you will see how a policy that you buy your kid now can turn into like a $600,000-$700,000 policy by the time they're 40, 50. Who wouldn't want to leave that to their kid?
Man, so to wrap this all up, because this was a lot. It was a lot you just gave. He said Desiree Monday. I we got to get you back on because you just dropped some knowledge. And you good with the microphone. Golly, she was a one. I didn't even have to do no talking today. Damn. So, in all in all, when we talk about building the finances and the difference between liabilities and assets,
yes,
when talking to people, what were some of the horror stories you had?
So my first, this was heart-wrenching. When I first got in real estate, I was told that most people lose their homes, most widows lose their home within the first year of losing the breadwinner. Mm-hmm. The first open house I did was for a lady losing her home because her husband had died.
Mm.
They did everything right. They had insurance, right?
Mm.
They used the insurance policy to bury him instead of paying off the home. Within the first year of his death, she was losing her home to foreclosure. So we were trying to sell it before she lost her home. That was hard for me. That was really hard.
Damn, that's tough.
Now I'm working on a particular case where I have a very, very dear friend. I love her to life, and she's ill. And I'm trying to find a policy that can cover her before it's too late. So that's why I encourage people, get covered while you can. I sell life insurance, and I could not get my mom and my dad covered for life insurance.
I have an idea. You know how people have parties when people get out of jail or people going to college? Can we have parties to celebrate getting financially free?
Come on!
Like, I never really heard someone say, hey, let's do a life insurance party. We bring an agent over. Just almost how people do tattoo parties. A tattoo guy comes through and he tats everybody for so-and-so. You know, we invite someone that we know and have a life insurance party, and they sign everybody up and say, hey, let's have a life insurance party, or let's have an investment group party. Like, I was thinking about that before you came to ask you that question. Like, you don't think that, why don't we do that? Like,
what if I told you we try and people don't come? I have colleagues in the business, and we honestly try to do those type of things. What I tell you earlier, our people don't see the value in it, and it becomes draining. But the good thing is a lot of my colleagues are like us. We're up and coming. We're young people, and we love our people, so we won't give up.
Yeah.
But we do try. We definitely try to have those parties. We definitely try to invite people out and try to educate them on them. And here's a word: free 99. These events are free. We offer this education free. Stuff that they're not teaching in school. Stuff that I'm paying over $50,000 for a degree for. We teach it for free.
Damn, and so we that, well, I don't say we're that ignorant. We're just that naive to a lot of things.
Yeah, it's definitely not ignorance.
That's why I say it's more of naive.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, it's I don't want to talk about it. It's taboo. And really, some of it is shame. We don't want to admit that our house is on fire.
For real?
We don't want to admit it.
Until after it's burned down, then we want to say it.
Yeah. Hey people, my house is on fire too. I'm fixing mine too. I'm telling y'all now on a national broadcast, and I'm in the business. My house is on fire and I'm fixing it.
So what about when it comes to business, how long, like, you know, when you start, because I know it takes money to just get certain things, certifications. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you went and got an LLC or whatever you got certificate wise. Was it like, did you try to go at it individual style, or did you ask, you know, hey sis, or hey mom, or hey, you know, friend or grandpa or church, hey, I'm trying to do this for us. I need, you know, you probably don't need funding, but I want to make the burden easy, you know, do y'all want to invest in what I got going, or did you go at it by yourself, then ask people?
Believe it or not, I just kept working. I keep working and I'll pay it myself. I'm one of those hard-headed people that I don't ask for investors. But the beauty in what I do, I don't have to, because I don't need equipment. I don't need anything but
her line of business.
I just need intellectual things, right? So I don't need any equipment that I have to sell. All of my things that I need are intellectual. Yeah. So I didn't need a lot of startup costs. A lot of my costs were just educational purposes, and I worked and I paid for it. So a lot of schooling and education, and I'm still working and paying for it. You know what I mean? But being in the industry I'm in, it can be very lucrative. It is a very lucrative industry. So I am one of those people that I know that I want to do like a certain license for investments so that I can sell investments. and I know that maybe the course is going to run me $5,000. So I'm saying I need to go sell this amount of houses so I can fit that in the budget.
I'm just going to assume, and this is just me assuming, being a melanated sister, a gorgeous sister, and I see you got your locks on. Was it hard to be in this industry? Because I'm assuming it's already hard for women, but women of color who's melanated like yourself. And I don't see you got the extra works on your hair. Is it hard? Like, did you have to, you know, was that one of those things like, I may have to cut my hair or I might have to throw a wig on? Or you was like, you know what? It is what it is. Are you going to buy what I got or?
Yeah, you know, that's a very good question. The first year I went into business, I tried to cover it up with a wig. And it did not work for me.
Hot and itchy.
It didn't work for me, and it didn't work for my personality until I finally did embrace it and say, hey, my people, my tribe will find me. And I embraced it, and my business grew, and it got better because I'm now authentically myself. So once you're authentically yourself, your people will find you. Because the line of business I'm in, people have to trust you. So if I'm covering up who I really am, why would someone trust me with their money? Why would they trust me with the largest purchase of their life, a home, if I'm covering up, I'm hiding stuff from them? So now that I'm authentically me, my business is growing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you like with your colleagues, do y'all, when you say y'all give out y'all classes and all that, do y'all promote it on social media or y'all just like word of mouth, like, hey, come through, and y'all try to promote it or what?
Yeah, we definitely try to do a lot more promotions. Social media is a large platform that we have to leverage. You can't just do word of mouth anymore. You have to leverage social media. Even if you're that type of person that, I don't do Facebook, I don't do Instagram, you can't even make it in the industry.
Perception is real now. Like, you can have the best product. You can tell people, give me $1 and I'll give you 100 right now. If you ain't got it on social media, that $100 has no value.
It's not happening.
Man.
Yeah, so you have to do social media. This is a large platform. Podcast is definitely where it's at. So you have to get on someone's podcast. Thanks for having me, MIB.
Let me tell you how I got this before I wrap this up. So my little cousins, this is her mom. This is my cousin's child's mother. Beautiful lady she is. I was just cutting her youngest cousin's hair, and I don't know how we got on the conversation. I think she was asking what I got going on, and I was like asking what she doing, and she started telling me about life insurance and winning the death, and ding. I was like, she should come on my podcast because I'm like, this is some information, and man, you definitely got to come back on the show. Like, you got a personality for it, man. I am Chi. Once again, my co-host is Al. You couldn't make it today. This is Money Investment Business. Do you have anything you need to shout out?
Listen,
tell me your business, baby.
Thank you again for having me. I am Desiree Monday with Freedom Bridge Financial. Look us up. I'm here to help you with all of your tax preparation, your home ownership needs, and of course, life insurance. Please, please, please get covered while you can.
Man, I'm gonna put all the descriptions in the bottom links, and y'all gonna make sure you reach out to Miss Desiree. She has all the knowledge, and I'll make sure I'm gonna get her on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Desiree Monday with Freedom Bridge Financial. Here at Freedom Bridge Financial, we help you with all of your financial needs, from tax preparation to life insurance, and of course, achieving the American dream of home ownership. So for all of your financial needs, reach out to us here at Freedom Bridge Financial.